So as we walk in faith through the seasons of giving, I think today's sermon was particularly appropriate. And as your treasurer for our spiritual community that is St. John's in the Mountains, I am tasked with overseeing and monitoring the finances of our community and with guiding the vestry and our parish community towards greater financial stability. The vestry, Father Rick and myself, guided by the wisdom of Cheryl Vance, are completing a strategic plan to guide us in service to our spiritual community, which includes greater financial stability. And while there are details that require greater clarity, our 5 goals are clear. Deepen the congregational and personal faith. Share our faith community as a way to grow our parish membership and participation. Create a sustainable financial base for annual activities and long-term growth. Identify critical capital needs and funding resources. Focus outreach and support to the community on food insecurity in Waterbury, Stowe, Morrisville, and Lamoille County. Thus far, as a congregation, we have much to be proud of. We have successfully acquired a permanent piano to support a more robust music ministry. We completed a successful rector's appeal of raising $25,000, and as a result installed a new boiler, and for the first time, we now have air conditioning. We also reduced the 2024, this year's funding gap by 20% through the generous increased pledges, reducing our budget deficit from over $100,000 to $85,000. We can be proud and pleased with this progress. When we look at the goal of financial stability, let me be clear. Our pledges of treasure is the single and most reliable source of income for our parish. At last year's annual meeting, the parish expressed resounding support to retain Father Rick on a full-time basis. After a request to increase our initial pledges, we pledged as a community over $123,000, which covers 50% of our budgeted operating expenses. Operating expenses are those that keep the lights on and the church clean, the altar tended, and our rector and other critical staff paid. They do not include the unforeseen, like new boilers, new air conditioners, or repairs to a beautiful musical instrument that was donated. The more we can increase the percentage of our operating expenses covered through annual pledge, the greater will be our financial security. We do not at this point have a clear vision of what that percentage should ultimately be for St. John's. I do know that the bare bones budget that Mary and I have drafted for next year anticipates a 7 to 10% increase in operational expenses. To continue to support even 50% of our parish operating expenses, we will need to increase each year to meet the inevitable increases in parish expenses. With this in mind, we have set a pledging goal of $142,000 to keep our pledged funding just over 50% of our operating expenses for 2025. This goal still requires a significant contingency of income from our operating reserve investments. This year, we have been blessed with the continued growth of our investments and unexpected gifts like the donation of art from the Forrester Beach family and other one-time donations. I've been amazed and have developed an immense amount of faith in the provision. We are actively pursuing other sources of income, including growing our arts and wedding ministries to reliably supplement our pledges. These will take time to develop and become stable enough for us to rely on. So the truth remains that increasing our pledging goal is a priority and our most reliable source to continue the activities we cherish, particularly that of a full-time recorder. We continue as a vestry and the treasurer and the rector to ask you that you support St. John's with your pledge to the extent that you are able and joyfully and called in love to do. Simply put, we will meet our goal if each of us who pledged last year increases our pledges by 10%. Some among us are already giving at our capacity. Others of us have capacity to give more than the 10% increase. Still others can offer a first-time pledge of support. The contemplation the Seasons of Giving has placed before us is to ask that we each thoughtfully consider, by walking in love, what we are called to pledge to help financially sustain St. John's in the Mountains. While Don and I are still contemplating our pledge, we are among those able to and will joyfully be increasing our pledge by at least 25%. Our experience is that love and gifts we receive from the gifts we give to St. John's and other organizations we support far exceeds the love and treasures we give. Let me leave you with the passage that has guided our meditations for the Seasons of Giving. Therefore, be imitators of God as beloved children and walk in love as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us, a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. I offer love and peace to each of you as we consider this Seasons of Giving for St. John's in the Mountains.